This is going to be a friendly little rant. It actually might not be that friendly. I'm not making any guarantees here. At this point, if you watch my videos, sometimes I keep it cute and sometimes I keep it cool. We'll see where this falls. Today, I'm just going to empty the clip on my thoughts on this. It may be cohesive, it may be not, but hopefully you can follow along. If you can agree, let me know. If you don't agree, you can also let me know. Y'all can argue about it in the comments. I'm not going to argue with you because I don't do that anymore. But we have to talk about this. We have to talk about it. And I think I've mentioned it in a couple other videos at this point. But I'm going to keep talking about it until something changes. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And I'm always the person with a little glimmer of hope that something I do or say can start a ripple effect. Even if I don't see the impact, I want to believe that I contributed to change in this world some way or another. Okay? That's how I see myself and what I do. We're going to talk about getting diagnosed on the internet because y'all really need to stop this. You need to stop diagnosing people, stop diagnosing yourself, stop letting other people diagnose you. They don't know you, you don't know them, none of y'all went to school. Because the professionals not doing that. The people who went to school for it not calling everybody narcissist and all the other whatever words y'all have recently discovered and they turn into some buzzwords. I just really, really think it should be illegal for people to use diagnostic terminology if you were not a professional. I just think it should be illegal because it does a lot of harm. It's doing harm to you and anybody you are diagnosing or saying like, hey, you might have this. I saw this video and I think you could have this. That is harmful. That is why we are legally not allowed, ethically from our board rules, not allowed to do that. You can tell us about someone and we might think like, oh yeah, they kind of fit the description of this diagnosis, but I still cannot say like, oh yeah, it sounds like that person you know has this. I can say it sounds like that, but I cannot diagnose you and tell you that this person is that thing. And I think sometimes some of y'all that are in therapy, that might be happening, and y'all are going back and saying, yeah, my even my therapist said my ex is a narcissist. I don't believe you. It's possible, but at the rate in which I've heard it and seen it, I don't believe you. I think a lot of times your therapist may have said something or implied something, or and everything's left up into interpretation. But your therapist said something, and you took it and ran with it the way you wanted to. For example, if you're like, "Yeah, I really think they're a narcissist," and I say, "Why do you think that? Where'd you get that from? Have they been diagnosed, or you just?" And they're like, "Oh no, I'm pretty sure they're textbook because of this." And I say, yeah, some of those things do sound like what narcissists do. And you're like, see, I knew he was a narcissist or she was a narcissist. And you go tell everybody I said they were narcissists. I did not say it. I said the things you mentioned are narcissistic. I don't know that person. And I tell my clients, I don't know them, so I'm not making judgment. I'm not saying anything. But based on what you're telling me, it sounds like this could be a thing. Not they are a thing. I always make that clear. And I want to just believe, even though everybody don't do the same thing, that other people are doing the same thing and exercising caution, and y'all be out here lying on these therapists if y'all are even going. Please stop. Okay, I'm gonna keep it cool. I'm gonna keep it cool. I'm gonna keep it cool. It's not gonna be cute, but I'm gonna keep it cool. These words on the internet are misused, overused, and spread so much information, misinformation. If I didn't say that, the the definitions don't even be accurate or they don't be complete. Sometimes those are symptoms of whatever buzzword is going around. And sometimes those same symptoms are the symptoms for a completely different diagnosis. But y'all wouldn't know the difference because y'all didn't go to school for it. And so you're like, oh yeah, that's me. I must be that too. You also could be 10 other things. And then I'm not even being facetious. I'm not even trying to be funny at this moment. There's like 20 disorders that have similar symptoms. And there's just small nuances that professionals know how to rule out and make the decision which one of those you fall in. So just because this person says my ADHD brain does this and the ADHD urge to do this, and you're like, oh, I knew something was wrong with me. I have ADHD. I know it feels great to feel seen and heard. And like, oh, that's what's wrong with me. Having knowing what's wrong with you, or not even what's wrong with you, knowing what's going on and understanding yourself is very pivotal and important, and it means a lot. I totally understand that. And I just want you to do it from a professional, not the internet. Because those few things that you relate on that person could mean you have something else. I just said that. Like, you might not have ADHD. You might actually have something else that might be more difficult to treat or more easy to treat, or you might just need to talk it out and those symptoms would resolve themselves. That's the other thing. Because y'all don't know and y'all aren't listening to professionals, some of these things that y'all are diagnosing yourself with, you or letting other people diagnose you with, in therapy, you could probably work through some of these things and eradicate them and come to find out you actually don't have that diagnosis. It was something else all along. Maybe it was anxiety all along. Maybe I have clients all the time who don't know they're depressed until I tell them, like, you know, you're severely depressed. And they're like, me? I thought I was doing good. I'm like, it's usually worse. And they're like, yeah. And they're literally, by the standards and assessments, severely depressed. And they're like, this is me at a good point. Don't know they've been depressed their whole life. And I will give you this. There's a lot of people who have some diagnosis. Not everybody has one, but some people who have diagnosis who have lived with it and didn't know what it was because people use the wrong words. And then there's just ignorance around mental health in general. And as a result, then they, as a result of them not knowing, they adopt it as a personality trait. And I've seen this more times than a kid. The first few times I was like, they're like, yeah, I'm just like this. And then the more I get to know them, I'm like, are you sure you always been like this? And they're like, yeah, probably since like fifth grade. And I was like, what were you like before fifth grade? And they're like, oh, I was the complete opposite. So now I'm like, well, what happened to you in fourth or fifth grade? Maybe third grade, as late as third grade. What happened to you around that time? Like, what's changed? Why did you change? Did you move? Did somebody get a divorce? Now we're having a conversation. Whole time they think they're shy or introvert and they just been depressed for their whole life. Like, it literally works like that. But you wouldn't know that unless you see a professional. Because TikTok not gonna get that deep into it. If people even still using TikTok by the time you see this, or whatever it is on social media, people cannot go through your life and your specifics to say this is what you have. Even if they're like, you may have this if you experience this. You may or you may not. Maybe it's Maybelline. So the other thing is, when people say like the therapist said this and that, I've talked about in another video. People be lying about what their therapist said if they even saw one, because I don't believe all of them have based on the stuff they've shared. But let me clear up something. Different than a life coach and all these other things that exist, our job is not to give advice. We give feedback. We give perspective. That's our job. We may encourage you, be encouraging when you have a goal to help you achieve that goal. But I can't tell you what decision to make as far as your personal life, because you're not going to blame me if it don't work out or if it backfires. But also that can cause harm. Like, I can't assume this will be best for you unless this is a matter of you making an unwise decision. I will advise you against making a dangerous or unlawful decision. Yes, I will advise you to do the right thing in certain situations. But in general, people kind of use this as like a genie psychic life coach. And if you need that, go for it. Excuse me. If you need that, that was empty. Excuse me, that was empty. If you need guidance and you want somebody to tell you what to do, you can seek that. But as far as a therapist, that's not our job. My job is to facilitate you on the journey. You are the expert of yourself. I'm just helping you figure out what's inside of you, what's happened to you, and flesh through all those experiences so you can make better decisions moving forward, so you can have the life you desire instead of the life you've experienced up until this point. That may or may not make sense to you, especially if you've never been to therapy, but there is a difference between advice and feedback and perspective. Advice, I'm advising you to do this, this, this. Feedback is, I hear you saying this. It sounds like you are unhappy. It sounds like you want something different in life. I'm telling you what it sounds like based on what you're telling me. I'm giving you feedback so you can hear yourself. So you can say like, oh no, I'm actually very happy. Or yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, oh, okay, now we can move forward. Or perspective. I may say, have you considered this? Have you considered this may have happened because this? Have you considered going about it a different way? Have you considered talking to this person about this? I'm just giving you perspective. I'm not telling you to do anything. You do what you want. You got free will. And do a lot of people need advice? Yes. Does everyone need advice? No. Most people need perspective because most of us have a one track mind and we see things our way based on our personal experiences. And it's not always anything wrong with that, but that can be, we can have very limiting views that limit the outcome of our life. Okay. So all this stuff you hear on the internet is not one size fits all. So you need to be careful. What therapists say are nuanced and specific to the client, their needs, their experiences, their lifestyle. Cannot express that enough. So you, just because you have anxiety and your friend has anxiety, what therapy looks like for the both of you can look completely different. And so it could be dangerous for you to say like, oh yeah, I was in therapy for anxiety. This is what my therapist told me. Try this. It's in good faith, but good intentions can do harm. The things that worked for you to help relieve your anxiety can in fact worsen theirs. It can. It may not. I don't know why you want to take that risk. I mean, granted, you're not a professional, so there's not much liability, but you don't want to accidentally make people's lives worse, I would hope, because there's also a disorder for that. But, and I get you want to help them and you just want them to feel better and you can relate, you know how bad it is, you know what it's like to struggle with it. I think that's great. You should encourage them. You can refer them to your therapist or say, like, hey, therapy really helped me with this. I think you would benefit from seeing one. Regardless what you get out of it, talk about what you want to talk about, but I think it would benefit you. And the stigma around mental health, especially if y'all gonna be talking about it all the time, I want y'all to actually go. Don't just talk about it on the internet for views and have everybody out here thinking they have something they don't. Because currently, at the time I'm making this video, it is January 29th, 2026. Everybody thinks they have ADHD and autism. A year ago, everybody was a narcissist. And then the year before that, everybody had anxiety. Make it stop. Please stop. Get a diagnosis by a professional and professional only. I am not your professional, but I am a professional, so I'm giving you my professional advice on how to go about this. Okay. Um, like I said at the beginning, because it's in my notes now, so I'm gonna wrap it up with this. Everyone has symptoms of various disorders. It's just not that simple. There's criteria to meet diagnosis and rule out reasons, as I previously stated. There's certain ways to qualify, not just the symptoms. The symptoms is the first step. We find diagnoses that have these symptoms, and then we have to read through the rest of the manual. It's literally a manual, it's this thick, and have to read all the other fine print to say, like, okay, yeah, you have this, but do you have this disorder? By the time we get to the last part, the answer might be no, even if it was yes up until that point. The answer could be no. And there's other times you just can be sure, but guess what? In our manual, say, consider this, consider that, consider this. And there's been times where I just thought I knew what it was. And once I go and read the manual, it's something else. I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And I've had clients who are like, oh, I think I have this, so I just want to be sure. And I will educate them on both of those. And they're like, yeah, I don't have either of those. And I'm like, yeah, I know. But I don't mind educating because, you know, that's what I like to do. That's what I'm doing now. And they to have something completely different. But this is a true story. I had this guy who came to me. He was like, I think I have um, either ADHD. I forgot. He thought he had two. There was two. He was like, I have this or both. I was like, okay, we'll see. I'll assess it and evaluate and we'll see. He didn't meet the criteria for either of those. He met the criteria for something else. And that's what we worked on and that's what we dealt with. And he was just like, wow, all this time. And guess what? Now that he knew what it was, because social media told him it could have been these other things, because he related to other people's stuff, we started focusing on this thing. We found coping skills for that thing, thriving, recently engaged, living his best life. Now I only hear from him when he's like, oh, guess what? I got a new job. Guess what? He's now just reaches out to say like how much better he's doing in life now that he knew what it was and he worked. But guess what? Had he stuck with what he heard on social media, I don't know, he'd probably still be in therapy if he would have even gone. Like, thank God he decided to go to therapy on his own because he was curious that I think I have this, but I still don't know what to do. Because then he was able to get to the bottom of it, find out what it really is, and treat the actual core of it and move on with his life in a healthy way. He could be doing a lot worse had he just went by whatever social media told him. Could be this, could be that. Try this, try that. please exercise caution. I know may not know better. I know it just seemed, if it seemed too good to be true, it probably is. Everybody's not living the same life. Everybody is living the same life. And I know I said the same thing twice. Everybody is worried about something. Everybody thinks somebody is paying attention to them. Everybody has an insecurity. Everybody is going through hard times. Everybody has issues with their family. Everybody has issues with their partner. Not the same ones, but everybody struggles with similar things to different capacities. But that looks different from person to person. And so just because you're like, oh, we're literally the same person, no, you aren't. And no matter how much you think you have in common with, I don't care who, everybody, or just one person, your course of treatment may look completely different, and you may not have that thing that you've now told yourself and now created an identity around it, and are now living a life a certain way because you've decided you have this thing and you do not. It is dangerous, and it can create other problems later down the line. So if you are curious, concerned, whatever it is, if you can get mental health from a professional, I would advise you to do that. I have posted a video already on access to mental health. There's a lot of resources there of how to get started, how to get it for free, how to get it for cheap, how to use insurance. I kind of ran through all that stuff. The only thing I failed to mention, which I would say here, is that if you're a college student, a lot of colleges will cover access to therapy for free. It's free for you. So check with your school to see if they have timely care services for counseling, and you can do virtual counseling via there for free to you. Your school will pay for a certain number of sessions per school year, not per semester, per school year, and you can get some assistance that way if you are a college student. And now it's not by age. You can be 40 in college, 50 in college, 90 in college. But all the other resources I did kind of mention in that video, so you can go check that out if you're like, okay, let me just go see. And at the end of the day, whatever happens, happens. But I'd rather you know and be sure and right than loud and wrong like everybody else on the internet.